Mm, 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 mm. Hi, do you hear me? Yeah, I live in New Jersey, so like this is our office area, so it's like brown. It used to be my brother's old room. They just never repainted it. So now it's the office room, like
Okay.
extra MacBook. We have like other stuff, like my cameras and guitars right here. So it's like kind of weird,
Oh
like
wow,
setting.
amazing.
So I try to do
No,
what
same. I just had one of the only white walls in my house.
it's better than brown. Straight brown wall. They're like
How are you doing?
they're good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, really, really good actually. Pretty slow start to the day, but really pretty.
Just waiting for you. It's kind of like slow. Could be my internet connection.
Is that
I feel like Zoom, since everyone's using it, causes here.
hey? Is that better?
Yeah, it is. I am actually. I don't know. It was like this is the second this I interviewed a couple days ago Marty, so it was
Oh, sick.
yeah, because I interviewed Marty, um, Iwanda and stuff. So like I'm trying to do a series with more Black travelers and like Black storytellers and everybody. Because I
Amazing.
got inspired because I studied a semester abroad just like last semester, and I was living in Salzburg, Austria for 4 months. So that causes me to want to continue on traveling. But then I'm also a media and PR major. So
Okay.
I'm launching a new website. I'm actually working on it today. But like basically just creating content, like all the stuff I did, because I used to be a blogger, but then like I don't know what I'm trying to do after graduation. So I'm trying to figure it out. If should I go back to grad school? But just create what I have.
Yeah.
'Cause I have pictures that are storytelling, and I also work like as a journalist too. So, and I also do sports media. So it's like I'm all over the place. It's pretty much
That's
a
awesome.
portfolio of what I do.
That is cool. And so how did and you found me through like um
Instagram. I actually followed you in the beginning before I studied abroad. So like,
oh,
so I was following like a whole bunch of black travelers. I wanted to see where they went and see where to go. And like, I hear your guys' story because I definitely loved your photos. Because I definitely want to bring them up during our interview and stuff
okay.
because they're definitely breathtaking and seeing. It's just like looking at these pictures, even especially with the locals you took, you can feel that moment.
Wow. Thank you.
Especially like storytelling and like you can just you wish you were there. You know what I mean? Like I wish I want to be there right now. I
But
love getting
I
to
love
like I love seeing that, especially with the media work and stuff.
Thank you so much.
No problem. So first, my name is Hadassah. Everyone calls me Das. I'm a senior at Alderson Broaddus University. I'm about to finish up in 2 weeks right now. I'll get my two diplomas. Thank you. I decided to create a project, like I told you before, when I interview like a series of Black travelers and their perspective and traveling and storytelling and create a content, which we're going to be talking about is your social media influencing creative content, your perspective in traveling, and your thoughts about traveling after maybe COVID-19 lifts up. That's like the biggest talk right now. First question will be introduce yourself.
Sweet. So my name's Clay Hunnigan. I am a content creator, producer, filmmaker. I run a business and a travel collective, a travel community called the Wind Collective, which is really about helping people see the world and also engaging with brands and marketing content, particularly in video.
And what made you want to start traveling?
I mean, my whole family has been pretty into traveling, and I think from a young age, I started traveling with them. And I remember my first ever, or my first memorable vacation was to Florida to like buy all the VHS movies on all the Disney VHS movies. At the time, my dad took me away, and I just remember being like so fascinated by like um, this whole world that existed only like 45 minutes by plane from my home at the time because I was living in the Caymans. And then again, like was mind blown when I was 6 years old. We went to Cuba as a family. And again, my parents are like really into like cultural travel and like chilling with locals, hanging out with locals, which I think has influenced my travel style. So my parents are probably the biggest influence in encouraging me to travel and explore.
And what made you encourage you to start your own brand, basically, your own media?
So I mean, so I was traveling solo from the age of like 21 for a few years, and I remember just thinking that the one thing that I wished would make solo travel, or that I thought could make solo travel better, was to be able to travel with a group, and also not just any group initially. I thought it would be really cool to travel with a group of like-minded people, either people that are interested in creating content or those that are already creating content. And that's how the Wing Collective was born initially. Now we have like trips that are just for young professionals, trips that are for creatives. But a big part of what we do is about like coming together as creatives to collaborate and produce like photos and videos. So
That's cool. Then third question would be, what led you into becoming a social media influencer as well?
it's so funny, right? Like, cause I don't even, I mean, I don't consider myself an influencer, and I think that that's what's crazy. Like, I don't have any brand deals for myself or anything like that. Like, the Wing Collective has brand deals because we operate as an agency, and we actually produce like content for the Wing Collective. And alongside like brands like Artlist or tourism boards, or we'll work with like swimwear brands or whatever it is, because for them, like the appeal of having so many people traveling together and creating together is important. But as a personal brand, it's funny, like I've always considered my personal brand to be the traveling storyteller, writer, dude, that guy. So I would say that like I'm not sure where I influence a lot of people, but I know that I really try to influence people to really live out their dreams.
Yeah,
Collective was a dream for me, like and now it's like my full time. And so I try to come across as that on social media. And any products that I do tend to align with tend to be products that either enhance my creativity or brands that I really support their ethos or their ethical approach to working.
cool. Um, since when you, I'm sorry, I just lost this question.
Oh, it's
Were
okay.
there places that you absolutely fell in love with? I could tell like by these pictures, like Bali maybe, or like India, because I fell in love with mostly these pictures instead with some.
Places I fell in love with, honestly, there's so many. I mean, absolutely fallen in love. Like I could go there tomorrow. Guatemala, but I didn't do enough photography then. I wasn't as big into photography a few years ago when I visited Guatemala. But Guatemala, Colombia, I love Latin America. I love people, like the people there. I love the vibe there, the energy. The place is like super vibrant, super colorful. I do love Asia, but I prefer places like Sri Lanka, um, which is like a little bit more like it's smaller. It's has a lot more like natural beauty. I do enjoy Bali. Bali is super convenient as a place, and a lot of creators go there, so it's a good place for like collaborating. I love going home to the Caribbean, Jamaica. I mean, there's so many places, like even places in Europe actually. And I really love the vibe of like places like Egypt. I just went to Ghana. That was insane. Sorry, I'm listing like every place I've ever been, so it's
Yeah,
not.
you're good. It's totally fine. I mean, like I only been to North America and then Europe, and I kind of been to Central America and stuff. So
Cool.
my
Where
goal
where in
is
South America did you go?
I only been to Belize.
Oh, Belize is awesome too. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and then like of course Mexico and Canada. I've been to Canada like twice, Mexico twice, and then like Caribbean. I would say like Caribbean islands and stuff. because it's still kind of North America between Central America as well. It's in the mix. And then Europe, I mean, I only been to a total of 14 countries over there, but my goal is like to continue back, you know.
What
And
was
I
your
get like,
favorite? Favorite?
shoot, it depends either the people or it depends, or like I felt absolutely like this country, like the city and stuff. Because when I was more going to more cities than countries,
Okay.
actually studying over there. But juice, I have. It's really hard because Italy, I fell in love with the leather because it was shopping. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that because it's Italian because of the food, the shopping, and the people are so sweet. And then I'm trying to think, what's my top one? That's a hard one. I'm gonna say Spain because I lived more longer in Spain. Like I lived in Austria the whole time for 4 months, but I would say definitely Spain because I got to be in Malaga, I got to be in Seville, and
Okay.
I got to go to Madrid and stuff
Wow, that's
for
cool.
like 10 days. And so that was
Wow.
like a big break for me. And then I completely, me and my mother, because my mom got to visit me, it was her first time over in Europe, and we spoke completely English and they tried their best for Spanish because I was
Oh,
speaking
yeah.
German at the same time and then Spanish. And I knew Spanish my whole life, but like, wow, you got to apply that
Wow,
in now. So like, lucky it was just me here, and I was the one who was in charge of everything,
that's
like
dope.
booking, going from trains. It was me doing the like everything, like do habla inglés and blah blah blah, like donde eres, like you know where we are. Like, oh my gosh, I was like 101. I'm learning German over there. Like, oh my gosh,
Wow, that's amazing.
because I was like messing up my words.
Spain is awesome.
Yeah, because it's been like almost 5 years since I like spoke Spanish from high school. So I'm like, oh my gosh. But it was definitely worth it of going, and I love the people and the culture, and then different of the cities. Because Seville, I would definitely request people because it's more historical landmarks, um,
Okay.
more. It's like royal. You see the more Mediterranean offset of it, but it's like not near the sea, so you would see more of the colors flashing, and then Malaga is definitely near the sea, and you can tell like the city streets are full of like glass kind of
Okay.
streets, so it like resembles back off, so you can see the buildings from the ground to the top. So it's much
Wow.
prettier and stuff. They're very more open, and in Seville it's more spaced out, but they have different. They have the of course the Plaza de Esplanada. And they have like all this, and then Madrid is the main city. It's almost like New York City to me. So
Yeah,
you
sure.
kind of see it, but kind of different. Like their buildings are older than like
Yeah.
New York City have more skyscrapers. They don't really have that much skyscrapers, but they have the older kind of buildings. So those
Yeah.
were my favorite because I had like those are my top. When I can tell people when I travel, like I look for that
That's
usually.
awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, like it had an awesome time, and it's like so like I said, like looking through your pictures. I don't know how I can add these pictures into the talk at the same time from Zoom, but
You probably have to either present your screen, um,
because
or
I see it on my other Zoom talks, and it's not there. It just says add multiple people here. Oh, I hit something.
yeah, I can see your
Yeah,
screen. Or I can see a picture of you.
it's okay. Like I can add it and edit it at the same time. I really wish I could put it in the same talk at the same time. Because it's
Oh,
not because I hit video and then it's just select your camera and choose your virtual background, then video settings. So bear with me with this. I do not want to mess up on this. Yeah, I don't want to change the background. Nah, I don't want to mess with it. But I'm gonna go to the next questions. Um, do you have like what are your dislikes and likes of traveling?
um, I really enjoy the whole process of uh even traveling with friends on an airplane. Like I don't mind flying. I like the journey period. I think if they gave me the option to like take the journey to a place or just teleport there, I would still choose to go like take the journey. I really do enjoy that process of like going with friends and being in the airport and that novelty feeling. Um and uh I enjoy culture, going to places and really immersing myself in the culture. Um, I would say things that I dislike. Things that I dislike. Um, it's probably just going to a place and not having like or not having like not traveling deeper there and just having like a surface level interaction with people, like not really like understanding or coming across any cultural activities. For me, like that's not and I don't mean like cultural activities doesn't mean like um it doesn't necessarily have to do with ethnography, you know, like it could also be like if I go to a place like San Andres in Colombia, it's to like a part of the culture there is to go diving or like, you know, so like I think
Yeah,
like if you go to a place, you just want to be able to understand and take part in the culture.
yeah. When you visit every country, what kinda sightseeing do you usually do? Do you, like, hike? Do you do downtown, like you were just answering and stuff, a little bit of that? Or, like, going to entertainment shows or historical landmarks? Or do you like also museums?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's adventure culture food for sure. Um, Adventure because I really, really love like hiking. I love views. I love sunrises, sunsets. I love um, water sports. I love diving. So like all of these things fit in like the adventure bracket. So that's awesome. Culture, like I love cultural stories. I love like cultural practices. I'm a big fan, funnily enough, of like myth, like a country's myths and stories. And so I always try to like meet people or locals from that place and hang out with them. And also I love finding hidden gems that I feel like you can only find with locals. And then food wise, I am a big fan of working my way through the top rated places within a place, and I'll trek so far. Like I remember I was in New York recently and I wanted like ramen and I found this place online that was like top rated, but it was like an hour or over an hour away from us. But we did the trek because like we don't compromise on good food. Definitely or
Yeah.
coffee.
How do you usually book your trips? Like you said earlier about your company that usually get marketed brands or they
Mhm.
usually pay. And I know like when I talk to other influencer, they talked about, they usually don't book it anymore, but sometimes when they do, they like, they use like Expedia,
Yeah.
Trivago and everything. How do you usually do?
So I use, I mean, the three tools that I use mostly Skyscanner. I use Skyscanner a lot. I also use Airbnb and Booking.com. Those are pretty much the I would say the three that I use most of the time. Sometimes I'll like compare prices on like Hotel.com versus Booking.com or Expedia and go with like the cheapest of the same hotel, but generally I go to Booking.com because they have the refunds. Everything's refundable usually, or Airbnb if I want like a really like cool boutique place. And Skyscanner is like a go-to for me with flights. I just Skyscanner or like if not Google Flights.
And when you travel, what do you usually like pack with you?
Wow. I definitely am an overpacker, which is crazy because like I'm actually not um terrible, I would say. Like I pack pretty efficiently generally, but I would say that I still tend to overpack because I assume that I need more clothes than I do.
Yeah.
But then actually I also go away on longer trips. So sometimes I know that I won't be home for like 4 months. So I try to pack like everything that I know that I'll need in that period. If it's like job to job to job to job. So
Yeah, and I'm definitely gonna take that advice because like it depends in the future if we're gonna go on a vacation for a while. Because like studying abroad, I had like a check bag and a carry on, and then like a backpack, And then when I did my small little trips, I had my carry on, but then like I usually had the backpack. It was like a couple days, like 4 or
yeah,
5 days we're gonna be in a country. So now like I learned like when I went to like Ireland, I paid my carry on bag as a check bag because there was a limit. Because some of the countries, their bags are limited. So
yeah.
that's why I'm always like curious about what's the smartest decision and so to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like I backpacked for a while, so I used to literally just have like, you know, like a travel backpack. But it was like a good size so it could fit it could be like I took it as carry-on a lot of the time. But I would roll all my clothes in there. But as I became, I guess like um more of a or started like doing some business travel, or like having to turn up to a place and go straight to a meeting or anything like that, then I just found the importance of like carry on or like suitcases and actually clothes that are already ironed. Because if I in my backpack, they're usually so rolled so tightly. So
And basically, do you have a season that you prefer traveling more in?
um, I I'm pretty seasonal, to be honest. Like with places, I don't generally go to many places during off season for that place. So but I do try to avoid off season places. So like the UK, I never spend winter in the UK, which means I'm always traveling to places that it's summer in, like Bali or South America at that time. But then for the summer, I really try to be like stateside or in Europe, exploring there because I really love the summer. The only time I will be in a cold place in winter is if it's like breathtaking in terms of views. So places like Iceland, or going skiing with Wind Collective. We'll do that during winter, obviously. So yeah.
That's cool. Um, Basically, is now we're gonna go back to like media questions. I love watching your videos and like the content. So like, what kind of media software do you usually do to edit your videos? Or like,
So we use for video wise, we use the Adobe Suite. So we're using that Premiere Pro a lot. I actually don't really edit videos. Barney does the bulk of that. My partner, my business partner, Barney. And he has a team that they edit videos. I do edit photos. Where we all like take photos and edit photos, and all like shoot in our own time and stuff like that too. So, but yeah, we pretty much use like Lightroom, Photoshop, After Effects, like Premiere Pro, like everything Adobe really. So we use Adobe Suite more than anything.
so, um, and as a Black traveler, when I get to that question, as a Black traveler, do you usually sometimes when you go traveling, do you sometimes fall in sometimes hardships with sometimes with the locals?
I haven't experienced this much, to be honest. And it's funny actually. Like I don't know if it's because I'm generally like more open than that, or like just more like I'm I don't get like super embarrassed really easily or anything like that. Like, and I love meeting people, and I'll like ask people. I'm probably the one that approaches people before they approach me. So, um, I've only had like a few tough situations. Once in Slovenia, but again, like Slovenia was one of the most beautiful places I went to. But I just had like I met like a skinhead and like had a little bit of like a weird conversation in a gas station car park. And he was just like a little bit like, well, he was definitely racist, but he just kind of like called me a name and jumped in his car.
Yeah,
But like apart from that, like Slovenia again is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. It was awesome. I expected to be like uh for people to be racist against me in Poland, and I experienced that once with a bouncer at a door who told me I couldn't go into a place, and uh everyone was going into the place, and he was just like, you're not allowed, and he just wouldn't tell me why, and then he was just like, it's closed, it's closing. And then I asked some of the other people that were coming out if it was closing, and they tried to take me in with them, but he wouldn't let me. So like, I mean, but I get like Eastern
yeah,
Europe, I've experienced some of that, but nothing outright, to be honest, like nothing too crazy, or like nothing that made me feel like intimidated for my life or anything like that, to be honest. I've
yeah.
never had that experience. Excuse me.
You always have to have like a clear mind. Like I've been to like a couple parts of Eastern Europe, so like we stayed in Miskolc, Hungary, and we were like gonna go to which is like an hour from Ukraine. So I was
Yeah.
like, and I was like the only person of color in their whole city. So everywhere we went, everyone stared. Even when we went to this park, we went bobsleighing, everyone stared. I just was raised outside of my environment my whole life.
Yeah.
So like I've been put so like I know it's try to tell people I don't see color. As a Black person, like it's hard, but you know what I mean? Like it's sometimes you just have to grow because you have to be a better person
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
put yourself in these environments because, someone gotta do it, that's always
Yeah,
said to show like it's okay, and that's why I'm like inspired by Black travelers because someone had to do it. So
for
like give us motivations to because there's not a lot of us. And so it's like the Black travelers, now a lot of content creators, they said they want to keep building, you
true.
know. And at least the next question is, the big question is, do you think traveling will be the same again after COVID-19. What's
The
up?
same. I think a lot of things will change, definitely. I mean, I'm obviously no expert, but I've just been like, I follow a few like aviation journalists and just seeing how they've been talking about the pandemic and how it's affecting industries. Things like airlines are going into administration. Some airlines are getting help from their government. And so when you take that into consideration, then accessibility for travel in a lot of places um, isn't going to be readily available. Also, you then have to think about each space or country having their own jurisdictions for visas or letting people in or whether they feel comfortable. But let's say that stuff is accessible. Then we still have the issue of travel confidence. Like, are people going to feel comfortable leaving the US and flying all the way to Bali for a 10-day trip when things could change immediately and that's the perception anyway, and so borders could close and they could get stuck in a place or so I think travel confidence will be affected, sorry. And I think one of the things that will happen, there will be an increase in domestic travel. I think a lot of people will want to travel and explore locally because it means
Yeah,
that they're close to home. And I think initially for the US, it will be domestic, but then also places that are close by. So Mexico, the Caribbean, Canada. Whereas I feel like in the UK, there will be like a boom in like domestic travel and then short haul flights. So Iceland, Norway, France, Spain, across Europe.
yeah.
I think you do have like the avid travelers who will be willing to go to the further places, and they'll be so useful in that period because they'll be the ones that show people that it's okay to go again. But I mean, the speculation now is that travel at the level that it was in 2019 probably won't be the same again for a couple years.
I totally agree with that. Um, and I want to go back to your camera work.
Mhm.
Yeah, I noticed you use an old film camera. Like, what kind of cameras do you usually use when you take your photos? Like for
So
photography?
sometimes we're shooting on film camera, but generally I just prefer like vintage edits more than anything. But I'm using a Lumix G7 with a 12 to 60 lens. That's my go-to. We also use we actually are big like Lumix fans, Panasonic fans, so we use the Lumix range, the GH5 for video with 1835 like Sigma lens. Sometimes we use the Canon 1DX for video. And then the uh, Black Magic camera as well. So yeah, it just really depends. But my go-to sort of everyday camera is a Lumix G7 with one lens is 12 to 60. So
Yeah, because I have a Canon Rebel. It's a T6 Rebel, and I also have a Pentax. So like, and I also have a GoPro, but I'm just gonna start using the GoPro more. But I always use my Canon for everything else what I do. So like, I'm trying to figure out how to use this film camera because it's an old, vintage film camera. Because I was like curious because I noticed you have a film vintage camera. So I was like, because like, does film look better than with regular digital and stuff?
I think it has like it depends on mood and like I mean like there are some edits like right now I'm not editing as much like in a vintage style. Um as of recently, but like generally that was my vibe for a while because I wanted to preserve these sort of like idea of like authentic adventure and like raw, like it just for it being a little bit more like rebellious and raw in
Yeah,
the film edit and like being able to like have the that feel of like with film camera you kind of have that like instant feel that like where yeah I mean like yeah so I did for a while like try to like channel that style and edit vintage film vibes. I still do sometimes and like I took some photos the other night actually that I'm trying to edit in that style, so yeah.
so pretty much we answered all my questions today. I just want to thank you for taking the time to do this interview with me, especially.
Thank you.
Definitely want to keep in touch for in the future for things. Because I definitely follow you guys, and especially like your media. I just fell in love with that, with the ideas you do and the work you do, basically. Because
Thank you
creative
so
content, like it helps us, especially like as a media student and stuff. Because if I continue on with my studies, I would go into film and digital technology because I got a degree in mass communications and public relations, but I didn't really study and really focus on media, which was kind of hard on me because I came from high school with a media team and production. So now
Wow.
it's like you got to put all the work in. I was more in writing in college. So
Okay.
now it's like I want it all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To provide it and send your message out basically. So I mean, I look at
Cool.
the media and I see all that. So that's why I like, and I worked in PR agencies. So now I'm like, I want to continue on figuring out what I want to do, but I definitely want to travel. So that's my thing. And I always felt like traveling and doing your all. It's like how you budget and save your money. And that's what I was always good at. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
I'm terrible at that.
And that's
But
why I think like I'm 21. Well, I'm not 21 anymore. 22. I just turned 21 on
wow,
Saturday.
that's impressive.
I forget. Like I keep telling you, oh, I'm 21. No, I'm 22. I forget that.
Wow.
1 year up. And so that's why I tell people like it's okay, move on, but like it's hard to figure out what you want to do in life.